like to welcome everybody tonight. We are so pleased. First of all, in our society, I am so grateful for the League of Women Voters. Can we first give them all a great round of applause? Because, you know, this is democracy and it's really important that throughout all these years they've been faithful to bring us the candidates and allow us to become educated. So consider yourself some of the very fortunate here in Reading because you decided to come and get educated about those people who are running for our Board of Supervisors. My name is Deborah Lucero, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Shasta County Arts Council. We also run public access television, so we are on Charter 180, 181, and 182. And Alice Bell here, who is going to give you further instructions, she's going to tell you exactly when you can see rebroadcasts of what occurred tonight. So welcome, and without further ado, Alice Bell.
Thank you very much. I always look forward to these events. They're one of the prime events that the League does in our area and across the state and across the nation. In fact, they were sponsors of the first presidential debates. But then the networks got hold of it and figured they could make some money on it. So we no longer do that. I'd like to thank our co-sponsors. That includes the Shasta County Arts Council and the Reading Record Searchlight for their help and assistance in this. There's information about the League in the back table, and there are some things I want to tell you about. The Easy Voter Guide, we have it in Spanish and English, and it's available free of charge, and it tells you a little bit about voting, and if you're no party preference, how you can vote for a presidential candidate. It also tells you about Proposition 50, which will be on the June ballot. There's only one proposition there. There's also two papers that I printed out. One that tells you when this is going to be rebroadcast, so you can tell your friends and neighbors in the district about that, and they can have a chance to see it themselves. Also, there will be links on the Shasta County Arts Council, Record Searchlight's website, and our website to a YouTube version of it, so people can watch it at their leisure. That's the pink paper. There's also a yellow paper that tells you about our other forums. There are 3 more, one tomorrow night in Shasta Lake, and 2 in District 3, one in Palisadro, and one in Burning next week. And also, there are 3 great websites here to go to. One is called Voter's Edge. Outstanding information about the election process, and you can put in your address and find out exactly what's going to be on your ballot. I was amazed. I thought there were only 2 candidates for some positions, and I find out there's 7 or 8. I thought, really? So, and there are links to all kinds of information, newspaper articles, interviews, and so forth. So, excellent place to go. Also, our local League's website, which is up there also. And if you need to register to vote, you can do so in the back. If you've moved, change your name, or want to change your party affiliation, you need to re-register, and you have to do it by May 23rd. So you can do that back there. I'd like to thank our candidates for their willingness to participate in this event. If they didn't want to participate, we wouldn't be doing it. And also, especially our moderator, Susan Wilson, who is the Director in charge of voter services for our local league. She's also the first vice president of our league. She's also on the state league board of directors, and she's a former national treasurer of the league. Susan. Susan will tell you about the procedure we're going to follow and introduce you to our candidates.
Okay, we have Mr. Modi, you're on this side. And Mr. Venus, you're on that side. So good evening on behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Reading area, the Record Searchlight, and many thanks to the Shasta County Arts Council. I'd like to welcome you to the Candidates Forum tonight for the Shasta County District 2 Supervisor. My name is Susan Wilson, and I'll be your moderator this evening. The election will be held on June 7th of this year. Vote by mail ballots have already been sent out. You may not have it yet, but they were sent out yesterday. The last day to request a vote by mail ballot is actually May 31st, so keep that in mind. The event this evening is being recorded, as you know, by the Shasta County Arts Council for future broadcast. So be sure that you you pick up the times that the broadcast will be available. I want to remind you that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that encourages informed and active citizen participation. So thank you for being here. We believe in influencing public policy specifically through education and advocacy. So tonight, the way we'll run our forum is this. The order of speaking, there are only 2 candidates, has been determined, and Mr. Modi will speak first. We will have introductory statements by each person of 3 minutes. Donna Nelson, here in the front, is your timer. Donna has cute little cards that she'll hold up. So she has one that says 1 minute. It's green. You don't even have to be able to read it. One that says 30 seconds. I think we'll skip that one, the next one. And one that says stop. So green, yellow, and red. Then we'll switch to questions, and all the questions will come from the audience, but they'll come via cards. So I want you to write your questions down. If you don't have a paper and a pencil, raise your hand. Someone will bring you a paper and pencil. Once you get your questions written down, raise your hand, and someone will pick up your questions. We depend on you to come prepared with questions and to make those questions of general nature. I'm hoping that you won't ask very specific questions to a specific person about a specific issue. I want the same question will be given to both candidates. After we finish the questions, then we'll have a closing statement, and we'll have the closing statement be 2 or 3 minutes, depending on how much time we have left and if we think we have some uncovered territory. So with that, I think we're ready to get started. You ready to get started? Let me introduce Leonard Modi, who is the incumbent, and Jerome Venus, who is his competition for this supervisor of District 2. And we'll start with the opening statements. We're going to hand the microphone back and forth. So I'm going to start with you, Leonard.
Thank you, Susan. Is this?
No, it doesn't sound on.
It's on.
Oh,
We can hear you.
You can hear. Okay.
Stand up.
You might want to stand up, Leonard. I'm sorry. I told you. Whatever you put before. Sorry.
Adjust your camera.
Just make sure you keep.
No, it's for this young lady over here. She's.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Leonard Modi, and I am your incumbent supervisor for District 2. I've been the supervisor for the last 7.5 years. I'm a native of Shasta County. Went here at Shasta High School. From there, I attended the University of Notre Dame, where I have a business degree in business management. And then later on, attended USC, got an MBA. During school, or actually after my graduating from Notre Dame, I returned here to Reading because this is where I grew up, and I think one of the greatest places in the world to live, and I want to come back to where I grew up. I took a job with the Reading Police Department and spent 31 years there, rising to the position of chief, which I was for the last 6 years of my career. At that time, the position for supervisor in District 2 came available, and I chose to run for that seat and be elected first time in 2008 and re-elected in 2012. What I'd like to share with you is, as a supervisor, it takes more than just 10 minutes on the job to learn what this is about. It's very complicated. I had a lot to learn as an employee of the city of Reading, as the police chief. I knew a lot about how the city worked. I actually served as a dual role for 7 months as the assistant city manager in Reading, and knew how Reading ran completely. But I discovered very quickly that the county is a different animal. It's a subset of state government, has a lot of different programs, not a lot of general fund dollars, and what dollars we do have is spent on our public safety and our library. But the point is why it's so important, the experiences, it's not just the meetings you go to on Tuesday that adds up here. It's all the liaison assignments that you have to different committees on behalf of the county. For instance, I serve on the California State Association of Counties Board, which is 58 counties meeting in Sacramento. But more recently, I've been elected to the executive committee of that group, which only has 11 members. So it's your experience as you move along that counts. I serve on the Sierra-Sac Valley EMS Board, which is 9 counties. I serve on the Regional Transportation Agency here in Shasta County, which has to do with a lot of the local needs that we have. I serve on a number of different water boards. That is very important to me because water is critical to the North State. In fact, I served 13 years on the Centerville Water Board here locally. So I think I bring a lot of experience over the last 8 years to bear on this. I can name probably 5 more committees that I've served on. But I think most importantly, I'm here because I'm committed to my community. It's where I grew up, and I want to make it better. Thank you.
Thanks. Jerome?
Let me begin by expressing my gratitude to the League of Women Voters for allowing me to speak before you, the audience, and those at home. My name is Jerome Venus. I am the candidate for the position of 2nd District Supervisor. The reason I'm choosing to run for this job is due to the unproductive, the offensive, and even unappreciable job performance that our current board members are doing. I have been witness to a lack of compassion and care for the welfare and the well-being of many residents of District 2 and many districts across the country and this Shasta County. I bet. There's been many people in my life that have helped me get where I'm at, and what they've taught me is our skills and how to deal with people and address issues that most affect people's lives. I have been on both sides of the fence. I have been down where people would sneer at people. They would point fingers at you. And I've also been up as to where, hello, Mr. Venus, how are you today? I understand what it takes to be a resident. I understand what it takes to have a position thrust upon me. Why? Because I have been supervising a casino. Now, how did that experience help me? Dealing with pressure of $10,000 a hand can be rather untrying sometimes, and you have to have a cool head in order to make that decision. You can't please everybody all the time. That's what I'm not here for. What I'm here for is to do the right thing, the honorable thing, the thing that requires integrity. Being a leader doesn't mean I have to go with the flow. It means I have to listen to my employers. I would give you my biography, but it's on the table out in the hall. And I really don't want to take up that time. There's more important stuff to talk to. We have to deal with the economy. We have to deal with the homelessness. We have to deal with law enforcement. There's a safety plan out there that just doesn't make sense to me. I have some answers. Are they good answers? I don't know. They're ideas. And with ideas, we can grow into more answers. We have that ability. This is Shasta County. We need to develop the resources we have here. And right now, the resources that we used to depend on are no longer there. They're no longer available to us. So we have to find a new economy. And there's many economies out there. There are so many economies, and the one I'm going to advocate for, of course, is cannabis. Why? Because it's a fast, productive growth. We have it already established. And I'll explain later on if you'd like me to. Right now, I'll just end with that.
Thank you. If you'll just exchange it back and forth, that'll be great for me. So, Mr. Venus, you get to answer the first question. I should have remembered that.
So you need to speak into the mic. For
Well, I have a little mic here.
Oh, you do, okay.
Is that a 2-minute response?
1 minute.
Am I?
Do you think that we need to regulate groundwater in Shasta County? Question. And why or why not? How would you do it?
Well, I'm of the opinion that yes, we do have to regulate groundwater, but we have to find a way of obtaining more of it. A lot of people want to build a dam. Now, dams don't work and they're far, far away. We don't need dams right now. We need help right now. What I'm advocating for is different ideas. Let's start putting gutters on people's roofs. Let's start having rainwater collection efforts. Let's start allowing farms to utilize the water that is coming from the sky. Are these far out ideas? Yes, they are. Are they necessary? Yes. Will they be something that we have to come over as a hurdle? Yes, they will be. But are they insurmountable? No. Nothing is insurmountable once we come together as a community. That is the main thing. We have to come together as a community.
Thank you. Mr. Modi, same question.
Well, whether we think they should regulate it or not, we have to, because the state's passed a law that says all the areas within California have to come up with a groundwater plan. And right now it's based on whether it's an extreme situation, a medium, or a low. And so those were the extreme situations that get theirs done very quickly. Shasta County is what we consider a medium-based threat level as far as our aquifer. And quite frankly, our aquifer under Shasta County, particularly on the southern end, is 4.5 million acre-feet of water. That's the size of Shasta Lake. Our aquifer is actually doing very well. But the county's already started the process with all of our local jurisdictions. Our plan is to come together as a group and formulate a groundwater plan that's agreeable to everybody. Because we're not fighting over our water today, and hopefully we can come to a consensus and resolve this issue on a peaceful conversation rather than getting into litigation. And that's where we're heading, and we'll be in the next year and a half.
Okay, if you keep the microphone, you get to answer the next question first. Do you agree with the current Shasta County ordinance regarding growing medical marijuana? Why or why not?
Well, I agree with it because the people of Shasta County voted for it. It's been approved by the majority of the people. Now, a lot of people want to say, well, it just passed in the city of Reading, and that's not true. When you actually pull out the cities out of it, it passed in the county as well. So that's the law of the land based on the citizens as they voted. So yes, I'm all for upholding what they wanted. And I think that the biggest concern we had was not about whether medical marijuana was good, bad, or indifferent. What people kept telling us is I'm concerned about the environmental damage that's being done out there. I'm being concerned about what's happening in my neighborhood with crime, how it affects my quality of life. I can't tell you how many grandparents wrote to me and said, my grandkids come over and I can't go outside with them because I can't stand that smell. So yes, I'm in favor of continuing what the people voted for.
Thank you. Mr. Venus, same question?
I'm quite against it. Why? It makes no sense to stop a medication that can help so many people. It also has a great benefit in the economy. It has so many different job availabilities, so many different businesses want to find a place to expand. Not only that, but people need it. People use it in a very responsible way. Is cannabis bad? No, it's not. And people always call it the gateway drug. And the only thing I can tell you about a gateway drug is that the gateway to an economy that can lift Shasta County up in more ways than one. We can produce medicines here. We can produce foods. We can produce clothing. We can produce siding material for our houses. It is a very versatile plant and one that raises a lot of revenue in a really fast time. And plus, it's already in the ground. We already have it. Not many farmers are going to get and want to have the mess that you guys see in the paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Hang on to that. You get to answer the next question first. Shasta County's suicide rate is twice the state average. Our mental health services are meager. How can the county step up and deal with improving services and access to those services?
This is a really touchy subject for me because that's my career choice. I am a counseling psychology major. I don't believe we're doing enough for the mental health people. I think that we're taking too much money and putting it into law enforcement. I'll be honest with you. I believe that law enforcement is necessary. However, law enforcement is not working. It hasn't worked for decades. And what we need to do is we need to step up our mental health efforts. There was a gentleman that had a mental health problem and he was shot down, waving a shotgun not too long ago, a couple of months ago. And that's what I'm talking about. We have to be able to have police that are trained. We have to have technicians that are trained to go out there in crisis areas and help these people down. They are not evil and do not need to be killed. A mother had to leave her children just so she could get help. And they were taken away. That's insanity. And to think that a jail is going to help us, no. To think that chastising a mother for doing the best for her children, no. We have to do better by our people.
Thank you. Mr. Modi, same question?
Well, first I would tell you that we're spending $30 million in Shasta County on mental health. $20 million from our mental health department. Another $10 million comes from our Mental Health Services Act, Prop 63 that everybody voted for. So we are spending a lot of money on mental health. To this particular question, it is very difficult when you have someone who's not thinking about suicide. And I would just tell you that we are trying to provide additional services. Just recently, pushed really hard to get Laura's Law passed here in Shasta County, which gives a way for parents who have family members who are not responding to get them help through the courts rather than just being turned away. So we are pushing hard to try to improve services in Shasta County. It's just like everything else. You have to take the dollars and stretch them as far as you can.
Thank you. Hang on to that microphone. The next question, how will you make yourself available to your constituents?
Well, I'm always available. I answer all my phone messages. I do emails. I'm in my office, although not all the time, because quite frankly, I think that in order to talk to the people who I'm representing, you have to be out there and meet them on their own home turf. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in a meeting in French Gulch with their community meeting. I've been down to a number of meetings in Happy Valley. So it's a matter of reaching out to where they are and attending their meetings. Wasn't last year I spent a number of meetings in Old Shasta because of some situations that they have. So even as far as Patina, which is about an hour drive just to get there, just to meet with maybe 4 or 5 people. But I'm always available. I've always responded to requests to go out and meet with people in their areas, and I'm always willing to talk to them on the phone or come in my office if they want to make an appointment for that. So I've been readily accessible during the last 8 years and will continue to do so.
Thank you. Mr. Venus, same question.
I plan on having office hours that you can get in touch with me. The stuff out in the county can be done at a more convenient time for everybody involved. My hours are usually like in the morning time. Another thing I would like to try to institute would be a changing of the board meeting hours. Not many people can afford to take 2 hours off of work to come to a board meeting in the morning. I would like to make it at night. That way more people could attend the meeting. More people that have things to say could be there and they could voice their opinions. Why? Because if I don't know what you're thinking, I cannot act for you. I'm a firm believer that you're all my employers. And if I don't do what my employers say, I'm going to get fired. I'm one of those people that believe that an employee has to do the job that their employers say. And if I cannot talk to my employers, how do I know what to do? And then I'm left with myself, and you know what happens to a bad employee.
Just hold on to that. What concrete proposals do you have to regulate marijuana in Shasta County if the state ballot issue passes in November?
Well, to begin with, I'd like to find a way to strike down Measure A. It's a senseless ordinance that has created nothing but havoc and pain and economic disruption. I would like to bring together an ad hoc committee of the patients, the sheriffs, the boards, and also the caregivers, the growers. Why? Because those are the people that are involved. And the dispensary owners. Why? Shasta Lake City has 2 dispensaries. And last year they pulled in $365,000 in tax revenue. That's why. We need to get common sense regulations here. We don't need to be stormtroopers. We don't need to be cutting people's products down. We don't need to be coming onto their land without any cause other than what an ordinance says, which is why I should have received a letter for what a lot of people are saying. And that's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for common sense. Let's pull it back a bit. Let's take a breath. And let's find out the benefits, not the negatives.
Thank you. Mr. Modi, same question.
Well, first I think it's a little premature to say what concrete things that we do because I'm not sure what the ballot measure is that's going to be passed. So we need to find out what laws are changed and what they require. One thing to remember, if marijuana, particularly medicinal marijuana or recreational marijuana gets passed as a law in California, that will become the law of the land. And certainly Shasta County will follow whatever law is passed by the state. But don't confuse that with what Shasta County passed, which is not a ban on marijuana. It's a planning zoning issue, and we passed a land use ordinance. So we decided about where you can grow marijuana and what restrictions you would have when you do grow it. So it doesn't mean that the law itself being passed by the state would totally ban or change that land issue. In fact, it's been challenged twice in the state Supreme Court and both times they ruled that we have the authority and continue to have the authority to do that regulation. So we'll see what happens, comes out. If we have to make minor tweaks to our ordinance, we'll do that. But again, I'm willing to put it out to the vote of the people and see what they want to do once we get to that point.
Thank you. Let's see, it's you again. What is your stance on the practice of clear cutting? This must be a lumber company.
Well, you know, there's a little bit of a misnomer. A lot of people want to say clear cutting, and you know, clear cutting to me. When I grew up here in the 50s and 60s, and I can remember driving up and down what used to be Highway 99 at the time, not I-5, in different parts of Northern California. Clear cutting is when you do thousands of acres and you just clear everything. What they do now is sort of a patchwork thing where they clear maybe 50 acres or 100 acres and they quilt it around so that there's still a lot of standing trees that allow the area to be replenished. It also opens it up for habitat to use. And the science of today is not what it was 50 years ago. The loggers don't go out, they just cut down trees and then wait for them to grow back. They have 100-year plans. 100-year plans. And for instance, Sierra Pacific, their 100-year plan, there's 50% more board feet in the forest 100 years from now than there is today. Because they understand they have to be in it for the long haul. So I think that's a little bit of a misnomer that gets tossed out there. We should have some harvesting for our jobs.
Mr. Venus, same question.
I was born in the state, and I've watched the state get ruined, and I've watched what the clear cut looks like. And what you want to call it is what you want to call it. I do believe we have to manage the forest. Don't get me wrong, we have to manage it. Otherwise, Mother Nature will manage it, and nobody wants that to happen because towns don't matter, houses don't matter, nobody matters. So we do have to manage the forest. However, sad to say, lumber industry is dead. It's been dying since I moved up to Shasta County. Lumber mills are shutting down. We're sending whole logs to Japan. They're selling them back to us. That's the way it is. The economy has changed. We have to change with the economy. Would I like to stay in the time when I was 16? Yes. Won't happen. I try to go home to Southern California. It's not there anymore. We have to get a different economy. Otherwise, this community will blow away and die. I'm sad about that. I want this community to grow. People are leaving us. People are leaving. Children are leaving after they graduate. Why? There's no jobs. We need jobs.
So hang on to that, and boy, did you lead right into the next question. What are your ideas for economic development? And I think we'll give the folks 2 minutes for this one, because I think this is one of the basic issues that we face in this county.
Well, like I was saying, we have to get away from lumber. We need it. Don't get me wrong, we still need lumber and we still need timber. However, we have to find different products. And I have advocated for cannabis. Many people have said, don't lead with that. I have to lead with that. Why? Because it's already developed in this county. We already have a process to get it down. What we need to do is have more production. What we have to do is we have to have more open shops. What we have to do is have to have common sense regulations. That's what we need here. We don't need to slam the door on something that's so productive. It was worth $400 million back in the 70s, and I think it's up into the billions now. Google cannabis companies. Another thing I'm thinking of is a hemp processing plant. There is one hemp processing plant from Panama City all the way up to the Arctic Circle. On the North American continent, there is one hemp processing plant. Why not here? There are jobs. We can start recycling things. We can do these things. Why? Because of who we are. We are not unable to do anything we choose to do. Why? Because we made it here. You all have to care about this because you're here on a Tuesday night. We need to change our idea about what an economy means, what an economy is. We have to develop local businesses. Government has to step in. I know people don't want to hear that, but government has the most money. They can influence businesses faster to grow. I watched a lady, she had a tie-dye shop. She was stuck in the middle of someplace over there by the library. No business is going to go there. Nobody's going to go in there and buy her stuff. These are handmade tie-dye shirts. Why not develop for an area where some of these empty stores off of Hartnell like Rayleigh's? Why not start utilizing these empty spaces? We can get the money back. That's what I'm talking about. We have to have the infusion of capital. Cannabis is already set up, and so is the government.
Thank you. Mr. Modi.
Mr. Venus is wrong. The timber business is not over and done with. In fact, the problem we're having is we're importing 90% of our lumber from Canada. 90%. Why are we doing that? Every day you use thousands of products that come from the timber that's harvested someplace else. It's a thriving economy that needs to come back, because if we don't, we're going to burn up our forests. Our forests are so overcrowded today compared to what they were 50 years ago. A healthy forest has about 19 mature trees per acre. Today's, it's well over 200. 10 times as many. No wonder why our forests are so overgrown. No wonder when a fire starts this catastrophic today, like Lake County, where you burn up half the county. Because we're not managing our forests properly. And those are good paying jobs that need to come back to keep rural counties alive. They survive on that. When they have families there, the schools survive. When the schools survive, the stores survive. That's what all our rural counties along the eastern side of Shasta County are dying from. They've lost their timber, and we need to bring it back. We also need to have clean manufacturing here in the North State. That's an area where you make a product and you export the dollar, you export the product, and import the dollars back into your community. That's how you grow. And we need to have high-tech companies. And we have those. We have started high-tech companies already. They're doing a great job. And what Shasta County has done, and I have done, and we've supported the EDC on their efforts to help these startup companies and to attract new businesses. And then on a personal note, when businesses that come to this community want to look around, I'm willing to go out, meet with them, see what their project is, encourage them to come here and promote Shasta County. It's a great place to live, and we need to bring those jobs into our community.
Thank you. Hang on there. I'll give you the next question. Everybody says youth are our future. What types of programs do we need to develop to provide opportunities for our children and keep them here or get them to come back?
Well, I think there's a number of things that can happen. High-tech companies obviously will attract the youth. They want to stay around. That's their world today, way beyond any world I've lived in. But also, I think it's part of us to encourage our youth to go on to be educated, whether they have to leave the community or not, and get the education, and then decide if coming back here is the right place for them. There are other jobs that are available that should be available as well. It doesn't have to be always higher education. We should have trade schools or vocational schools. There's a lot of kids who don't learn by sitting in the classroom and reading a book. They learn by doing it. They learn by using their hands. And they may not want to sit there at desks all their life. They want to work on cars. They may work on air conditioning. They want to run heavy equipment. We need to help those people have opportunities and educate them to give them the jobs that they want in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Venus, same question?
In 2010, the median average wage was $15.10 an hour. That was for one household. $15.10 an hour. How many people can live on that? Yeah. That's why we don't have our people here anymore. That's why young people are leaving. There's no work. There's no livable wage. There's a site that I went to that says, come to Shasta County because the employees don't work for much and they ain't too smart. That's basically what it said to me. And I was aghast. That's how we're applying to our businesses? Come because we have ignorant people and they'll work cheap? No, we need to bring people here that will instill a community effort, a community thought process. Why? Because communities work better than they don't. When I can continually have people as a basis and as a foundation to build on what we want to build on and not try to retard ourselves, that is what a community is about. Helping ourselves and each other.
Hang on to it.
Hang on.
I'm going to give them 2 minutes for this question also. What, in your opinion, is the most important issue that the supervisors need to solve, and what do you propose to do to work towards a solution?
Where do I begin? I'm trying to think of where they can begin. They can stop by charging exorbitant fees. I went under the planning commission thing because last time around I said I didn't know about the planning commission and all this good stuff. 4 pages of fees, and I rarely saw one less than $600. That was I was like, what? No wonder people cannot build their homes. We need to start letting people, allowing people to rebuild their homes after disaster. You know, there's a thing in the county plan too that says, yes, we'll do this. It's an ordinance. There's an ordinance there that they will actually say, we'll wipe off the zoning stuff, don't worry about it, just go ahead and rebuild your home. 10 people in Ono have left because they cannot afford the fee. 10 families have left Shasta County. Businesses are leaving. I don't know if anybody's driving by the Rayleigh's one, but it looks like a ghost town. Maybe we could put up like an OK Corral. I don't know. But ghost towns don't attract businesses. Businesses attract businesses. And that's what we have to start looking at. The cannabis business, once again, it helps restaurants. It helps clothiers. It helps the garden shops. It helps cars. It helps the tire shops. Is it the only thing? No. But is it a foundation? Yes. Can we springboard off it? Please, yes, because I don't want it only to be one economy. That's what happened to us last time. We need more than one economy. We need to spread out. Cannabis will get us there. I don't want it to be the end all. It's not the end all, it can't be, but it is a societal plant, and it has to lift society. And that's the way I believe about it. It has to help the person that doesn't use it. It has to help the family that may need help. That's what I think about cannabis. It has to help everybody, and it can. Why? It's just one of those plants. It comes along once in a lifetime, and if we don't grasp it, we'll lose it. And
Thank
we'll lose
you.
more of our children.
Mr. Modi, same question.
Yes, thank you. Well, Mr. Venus is partly inaccurate on part of his statement. First of all, when he had the fires in the Igo-Ono area, we actually did pass an ordinance that allowed people to rebuild their homes with waiving a lot of the fees, particularly like school fees and things like that, but other fees as well. And we let them rebuild back to the standards when they built their house, not the new standards of today, which would have cost them thousands and thousands of more dollars. Second of all, he talks about dropping the fees. What's different from us in the city of Reading, the city of Reading works on what they call a general fund. Their tax dollars are spread around through all the departments. Their general fund pays for their planners and their building department. So when their economy goes up and down, then they just keep paying them. The county is not set up that way. They don't give general fund dollars to our planning and building department. They're based on the fees. So those who are building the houses pay the fees for the people who provide the work on the building and planning. You cut those fees, you lose the employees. Not going to work too well. Now, as far as the major areas, there's actually 5 of them, but I'll focus on 2. One is mental health. I've pushed really hard in the last 2 years about mental health issues and trying to educate people that we cannot help the citizens who need that service by putting them in jail. We need to provide better services for them to get the help they need from professionals rather than locking them up in a jail just to sit there for 60 days or wherever it is and get back out. It does not help them. And the second part I really need to push on is recognizing that we're a part of a regional community, and when we do things, we need to do it as a group. That means that the city and the county, actually the cities and the county need to come together to look at things, whether it be tax sharing and stuff. But the reason that that's important is because then we start planning on what's best for us. We don't compete for the businesses just for their sales tax dollars or their property taxes. We say, you know what, this business works best here, let's put them here and work to get them here rather than competing on the dollars. That's what better planning and better service for our region.
Thank you. And the next question, how do you propose to manage residential and commercial development while balancing economic health and the county's rural lifestyle? Maybe that's a 2-minute question too.
You know, I'm not sure it really is, quite frankly.
Okay.
It's a pretty loaded question. I'm not sure. I mean, how do you balance one with the other? I'm assuming that must be maybe directed to maybe some of the big projects that have been proposed. I think that I would just tell you that just goes back to the last question I had. We need to have planning based on where you best should put commercial development versus residential. We shouldn't be building skyscrapers in the farmer's backyard, and we shouldn't have pig farms downtown in Reading. It's just pretty simple. So you're going to have growth. You just need to be smart about it. You be organized about it. Decide where it goes, where it fits. Make sure it's not a polluting type of commercial business. And residential, people want to have their space. People love living in the city and walking a short distance. A lot of people like living in the country. You want to have 5 acres and be able to travel back and forth at their own leisure. So I don't know you're going to curtail where people live. I think it's more about recognizing what people want and accommodating those.
Thank you. Mr. Venus, same question.
Again, I watched Southern California get decimated, and I do mean decimated by overgrowth, by building here, building there, building here, building there. We have enough commercial buildings open. Just drive around town, and there's going to be another one over here in Reading that's going to be called Costco. That's another open building. We need to find a way of, like Mr. Modi said, combining our efforts with the city so that we don't overbuild in the city and we don't overbuild in the county either. We have to start being better stewards of our land. It ain't going to be here forever. Believe me, it goes fast. If you don't think about it, it goes fast. I often wonder why cities don't put in 3 or 4 or 5 lane roads at a time. Why? It would have been a whole lot cheaper to put them in back in the 60s than it did in the 2000s. If you don't think a community is not going to grow, I don't know what land you live in. But how it grows is up to us. Can we do sensible development? Of course we can. That's what I'm about. I'm about common sense. I'm not about trying to change anybody's lives. I just want us to act a little bit more with common sense. Let's get some realistic thinking in here. Let's get some real life thinking in here. That's what I'd like to say. And yes, we need development. Construction is one of the shortest. It is up there. It is up there with how to start an economy. I am for it. I am for a lot of things that Mr. Modi says that I may not be. And he's right. Why? Because they don't work. This is the year 2016. We are in the 21st century. Let me remind you, 2016. We need to come up to the 21st century. We need to bring better production. We need to bring more production. I believe we still have an empty ghost town out there in Stillwater. I still don't know how to get out to it. There's a big bar across it, so it's my tax dollars, but I can't get to it.
Thank you. Hold on to that. Recently, the Board of Supervisors approved Laura's Law. How do you think Laura's Law will benefit those with mental health issues and the community?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know much about Laura's Law, but I do know how mental health does help people.
Okay.
I do. It helped me a lot. As an intern, you have to take so many hours of therapy. Why? Because so you can get rid of your stuff. And believe me, we all have a lot of stuff. And we all have these little slivers is what I call them. Therapists help pull the slivers. They hurt. So if you think about a sliver, and this is how I try to do it with my clients, it gets infected. And if you don't pull it quick, it'll hurt. So that's what mental health does. It helps to pull the slivers and have somebody there to say it'll be okay. It'll help somebody along the way, and we won't have the problems we have. We won't have people getting shot because they robbed a bank with a BB gun or because they waved a knife at a police officer or they came out of their house with a shotgun. Mental health will help alleviate a lot of our problems, along with employment and a place to live.
Thank you. Leonard?
Well, I do know a lot about Laura's Law because, like I said, I advocated to bring it here to Shasta County. And the reason I did was because there are a number of friends, parents, who contacted me and told me about their story. What it comes down to is they were parents with adult children who had mental health issues, and they knew it, and they tried to get them into help. But they couldn't make them because they're an adult, and they have their own rights and privileges, and so they were forced to let them go on their own. And what would happen is they weren't getting the proper help they needed, perhaps they weren't getting the medication they needed, or other services, and they were just left out there on their own. What Laura's Law does is you actually, through a number of steps, can take them before a judge and put them on a situation where they have to agree to go to get some help, at least for a very short term. I mean, and it's reviewed every 6 months, so it's only a 6-month thing to start with, and can be reviewed add one more time after that. But it gives those parents who are struggling an opportunity to get their children in to get help before something really bad happens. It's one more leg to the stool.
Okay, next question. Recently, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of publicity about homelessness. How does that fit into the Board of Supervisors' sort of planning?
Well, first of all, the county spends lots of money on people who need help. I just have to bring some figures. $4.5 million in rental assistance paid to 4 county jurisdictions, because we manage 3 other counties as well as ours. But at $4.5 million, most of it's from the county. General assistance, last year $1.6 million. Veterans benefits, $4.5 million, and it just goes on and on and on. We are providing a lot of services for those who are homeless, but I think the key issue is find out which ones are truly homeless, which ones are mentally ill and need help, and which ones choose that as a lifestyle that they want to have. We have programs through the police department and the city of Reading that goes out and meet these people. The county went along with that program to help talk to individuals out in the field to see what their situation was and see what services they could get for them to get them back into a system and give them some help to get back up on their feet if they want it, or other services.
Thank you. Mr. Venus, same question.
It is estimated that there are 610,000 plus people homeless in the United States. 25% of them live in California. Just giving people an apartment, one person apartment, this apartment, what you have to bring to the homeless people is dignity. I challenge anybody in this room to walk out of their house, leave it wide open, and let everybody know within a 5-block area that you're leaving your house unguarded and unprotected. That's what a homeless person has to face every day because they have no place to put their things, and we want them to get better, we want them to get healthy. You first have to have a place. There are tiny house builders across the country that work. We have land around here that is this multitude that we can bring services to them. We have to start thinking outside of the box to deal with these problems that are not going to go away. They are here. We better deal with them, or they're just going to get bigger and they're just going to get uglier. And jail is not the answer. We have to be helpful more to our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Venus. Hang on to that. Water restrictions over the past 2 years have been especially hard on those who had already been conserving. All users were held to the same standards, etc. Do you foresee a method or a mechanism to provide a more fair water restriction in the future?
I'm hoping that those that save a lot more water than their neighbor don't get penalized more. That doesn't make sense to me. Again, it's not common sense to penalize somebody that's doing something good. It only makes common sense to say, okay, thank you, we're going to give you more. This is how we're going to do this. We do need to conserve water. Believe me, I'm a hog too. I try to, take a shower that's 10 minutes long instead of 35 like I often do, but it doesn't work for me. That doesn't work. I have to change my patterns. I have to change my behavior. That's also how we have to go through it. Education. Education is saying we need to help each other out here. Again, it's a community effort, and the only way you get community is to have people remain in the community. Not having jobs and not having any high-paying jobs, I should say, is not keeping people in the community. That's the problem. And so, yes, we do need to conserve the water. We do need to be smarter. Why? Because I think we've done enough damage.
Mr. Modi.
Well, first of all, there isn't that much that falls in the county's purview on regulating water. Just to give you an example, the county has control over about 1,000 acre-feet of water. As comparison to Centerville, for instance, has 3,800. City of Reading, 27,000. The ACID Canal, 90,000 acre-feet of water. So it's I think the real issue here is, although Mr. Venus said he wasn't in favor of storage, we have to create more storage. We haven't done anything since the 1960s. We went from 20 million people to 38, 39 million people in California with no new storage. No wonder why we're running out of water. And then I think the fact that the drought has been pressed upon us that we do need to change, and people have started to do that, their water use habits, how we use it, how we conserve it, and then we need to start thinking about how we store it. And I think that's things for the future. If we're smart, we learn from this lesson, we got through it okay. We need to learn from this lesson and start planning for the future, educating ourselves to use our water more wisely and save what we can get.
Thank you. Last question, and then we'll go to closing. This question, county supervisors meetings are streamed live on the internet. Is it important to also make them available for public access TV?
Is it?
That's the question. Is it important? Should we? Could we?
Well, anytime we get more information to the public, I'm in favor. I support that. I guess the question is I'm not sure the how. I'm not a techie, so I don't know about that. I don't know if we can stream what we have. Actually, I don't think we even stream ours live right now. I think we record it and play it out afterwards. Where I think the city of Reading is working on that. It's kind of expensive, I know. That's why we did what we did, where we videotape what we have and post it on our website. We're usually within about 30 or 40 minutes after the meeting, so you can go online, you can pull it up and see it. So, but as far as the technology and the costs, I couldn't answer that. But if it was something that didn't cost a lot of money and could help provide more information to citizens, sure, why not?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Venus? The question, county supervisors meetings are streamed live on the internet, maybe. Is it important to also make them available for public access TV?
Yes. Why wouldn't you want to have the government open access TV? I mean, we're in the day of where I can get on the internet and be in Moscow in what, 10 seconds? I can be in France. I can look at Ireland. So why can't I see my board of supervisors who are in the same county? Why can't I communicate with them through the internet? I think they call that a chat room. I'm not sure. I'm not really interested in it because I'm just new to the Facebook. But yes, I believe that. I believe that unless you have a transparent government, you won't have any government. You will have people that will tell you what to do. And pretty soon they will tell you, it's okay to have your child committed. We're only going to do it 6 months at a time, and you'll see them in 5 years. That's called civil commitment. It's called 6600. I don't want that. I want my child at home where I can see him, where I can help him, where I can say, let's work together. Civil commitment never did anything for anybody. So yes, we need a government that is open, honest, and transparent.
Thank you. Hang on to that.
Excuse me, you never asked my question, and I really think it's important. It's concerning democracy. Is this a democratic forum?
This is a forum where we
Okay, thank you.
did
Measure
questions.
A violates the 4th and 5th Amendment of the United States of America by allowing for warrantless searches and a lack of probable cause. And due to this, we're now being sued for $50 million. I'd like to know if you become our supervisor again, and if you become our new supervisor, what would you do to restore democracy in this county and this constitutional
Please
rights
don't
of its
answer.
citizens?
Please don't
Thank
answer.
you.
This is not part of our progress.
So you're
our program.
censoring democracy.
So
We can
Mr.
ask
Venus,
about
you
other
have
things,
3
but not
minutes to do
democracy.
your closing comments.
Is
Please.
that correct? We can ask about anything but democracy and the violation of the constitutional rights of these citizens?
Thank you so much. You know, we did address several marijuana questions.
No, this
and-
isn't about marijuana. This is about our Constitution of the United States of America
Mr.
that
Venus,
trumps
when
any
you're ready.
ordinance that the Board of Supervisors can possibly put into effect. Okay, it's our Constitution. And every time we allow it to be trampled on, we facilitate in the fall of democracy. It shouldn't matter whether it has to do with marijuana, growing grapes, or anything else. If all of our citizens have a right to their constitutional protections, you don't get to just choose who does and who doesn't. Because when that happens, it's no longer a right, it becomes a privilege allowed to the elite.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Venus.
Hello again, I'm Jerome Venus. I'm gonna be moving around here, bro.
Of course, he has no answer
There
to
is-
that.
There is something, I do have an answer. I have an answer that we should abide by the laws of our land. I have an answer that we have to come up with common sense regulations about all things. Not just some things, but all things. We need to obey the Constitution of our country. Why? Because that is the law of the land. We have to understand that the forefathers brought forth that land because of the fact that they had an idea of America. An idea that we could all grow and prosper. That we don't have to be confined. That we don't have to be in everybody's business. That we can live together and not hurt one another. I grew up in California where the statement was, you can do whatever you want, just don't hurt nobody doing it. That's what I grew up with. And that's what I want to get back to. Is it going to happen? No. But we can come together as a community, and we can understand common sense. We can understand the ability that we all have ideas, and they all need to be shared. You know, Mahatma Gandhi, I'm going to quote this one because I want to blow it. He said, the measure of civilization is how well it treats its weakest members. Look at us. How are we treating each other? And then you have another gentleman called Anthony Forrest, and I got this because of the law enforcement thing on the safety plan. He says, if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you never did. That's from Anthony Forrest. And we have to do something we never did. We have to start stretching ourselves out. We employers, that's you and I, and the people at home, we have to start demanding from our employees, i.e. board members, sheriffs, whatever, that they be more creative, they be more productive, they be more resourceful, and above all else, they be more empathetic. Because if we're going to have empathy, we're going to know better than the apes in the forest. That's what makes us better. We are humans with the capacity to think and to reason. And that's all I'm asking. I'm asking us to develop a capacity to reason with each other, to step out of the 19th century to the 20th century And let's get to the 21st century. Let's start developing plans with each other. Let's start sharing ideas. Let's start seeing if we can't get to the idea of America, like the Constitution wants us to. Instead of shredding it, we ought to learn how to live by it and how to adapt to it. Thank you. Jerome D. District 2 Supervisor, the candidate, the employee you want to hire.
Thank you, Mr. Venus. Mr. Modi,
2 minutes or 3 minutes?
3 minutes. I advanced the amount of time.
I appreciate if you answer my question also.
You know, there was a set of rules that were set when I came here, and I'm going to follow those rules that were set by the League of Women Voters, and so I'm going to.
That's convenient for you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna keep asking the question. Better figure out an answer to it.
Okay. The reason why I'm a county supervisor is I believe in my county, my community. I've lived here my entire life, and I think what happens here means a lot to me, to my family. I hope that they can live here for many, many years more. I've met a lot of people who've lived here, who enjoy this area, and want to keep it a nice place to live, understanding that it's going to grow. But I think it's important that you have people who care about your community, are involved in your community. I just wanted to share a few things that I've done in the past. I mentioned earlier that I've served on the Centerville Water Board for 13 years as an elected official, representing a small water district. I've served on the YMCA board. I've served on the Mercy Foundation North Advisory Board. I've served on the Mercy Foundation North Advisory Council. I've been involved in Leadership Reading. I served as a founding member in the Shasta Regional Community Foundation. I've been in Rotary. In fact, I even announced football games at Shasta High School for 20 years. Because why? Because it's about being part of your community. It's showing people that you care about where you live and when you put your heart and soul into it. Could I, not do this and go do something else? Sure I could, but that means too much to me to stay here, to make things better if I can. And I'll just show you the one thought that I got from my father when I was growing up. He was on the city council at the time. And I remember asking him, I was about 16 or 17 in high school, and I said, Dad, isn't it really hard when you know a lot of people in town, and 1 week, 5 of them are telling you to do this, and 5 of them are telling you to do that, and then 2 weeks later, 3 of them are now on the other side of some other issue, and 2 more on this side? How do you deal with that? Don't you worry about making all your friends mad at some point? And he said, Leonard, here's the advice I'll give you. Listen to all the information that's out there, take it to heart, and then do what's best for your community. I've always lived by that. I will always continue to live by that. And that's what I promise you as your supervisor in District 2 for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. So on behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Reading area and the Record Searchlight and the Shasta County Arts Council, I'd like to thank you for your attendance this evening. And let's have a big round of applause for us. So please remember to vote on June 7th or request an absentee ballot. I think they call it a vote by mail ballot now, to vote on before June 7th if you're mailing the ballot in. And that concludes our forum for tonight. Thank you.